definitive insecure chat. The definitive insecure chat. You know what it is. Absolutely. And definitive. Oops. Hold up. There we go. All right, wonderful people. And let me make sure I'm in the right place. I am. Thank you all so much for your patience. All right, we're in the building. We got one person watching. We need to get more people in the chat room, but it's all good. Hello, people, all my people in the chat. Call people, call your aunties and cousins and mothers and grandparents and whatnot. This is the definitive insecure chat where we take our time to collect ourselves, watch the episode a few times, process it, check into other chats and read the newsprint and all the media about it so we can have a very extremely informed opinion about what's going on. And this episode, boy, oh boy, was there a lot going on. We came into the chat with so many opinions and stuff, but we saved the best for this discussion. So we have Carrie, we have Tamala, we have Olivia, and first question out there, people. First question: what do people think of this episode? What do people think of episode 3?
It's just emotional.
Emotional.
All the feelings and thoughts at the same time.
Okay.
Well, I went into it with a little bit of trepidation because I was getting messages from friends saying, "Oh, I was disappointed in this episode." And when I watched it, I was like, well, the person who had the biggest opinion doesn't have children. So I thought that was interesting, who was the loudest of my friends saying, he didn't like the episode. And so when I watched it, I was just like, wow, this is like a really good episode. And I never thought I would enjoy an episode that was primarily Lawrence. So yeah, it was something else. That's why I joined this discussion, because I watched it like twice.
What's up, Olivia?
I thought it was an excellent character study of both Condola and Lawrence, and for me it highlighted aspects of both characters that I don't like, and I spent some time thinking about why neither character really, when I say that they don't work for me, I don't mean that they're not well drawn, because they are, and we all know people like this in real life, but why I find them both kind of frustrating. And that's something we can get into later on. But for me, it was mainly, I was just kind of blown away by what a good character study it was.
Let me ask you this follow-up. They're both frustrating for you when they're out there in other episodes interacting with other people, but they weren't frustrating for you when they were together? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, so by that, I mean, Condola is a character. So I'll just start with her. Condola is a character for me that never really, in earlier seasons, she never really fully cohered for me, in the sense that, she seemed on one level, she has a stable job, she has a good home, and she never really seemed that into Lawrence. She actually seemed to look down on him a little bit, like in that episode where she didn't really want to invite him to her house for her Thanksgiving party. But then she agreed, then she had a baby with him, and now she's all frustrated with him, and I don't trust you. And it kind of highlighted for me that Condola is one of those women who, it's almost like she has an idea in her head about how things are supposed to go, and she doesn't really get that things are not necessarily going to go this way. Lawrence, for me, has always been somebody, I think somebody put it well when they said he's a little bit passive. And, you had a situation where it was like, oh, keep me posted, so he's in Los Angeles getting texts about the baby. He hadn't met her family before it was born. He clearly hadn't gone to any parenting classes. Just a lot of things that should have been discussed before the baby arrived. It was just like, oh yeah, wait, we're gonna have to work this out. So I found both characters to be very frustrating, and it was almost like their flaws were kind of combining in a way. So I didn't mean to talk at length like that, but it was something I spent a lot of time thinking about. Like I said, I thought the character work was superb.
Okay, for sure. I appreciate it. I want to welcome Kikwa to the chat, and really quick, it's getting active in our chat on YouTube. And Jamie says the episode, it was so real. I appreciated that they went there. Very triggering, and I don't even have kids. And then T Frost, what up, T Frost? T Frost says, good episode. I like that neither side was completely right and wrong. Okay, appreciate that. And Jamie says, I'm Condola's sister all day. I want to go back to what T Frost said. Neither side was completely right or wrong. And I know that Tamala was saying before in the green room, Tamala was saying that you were looking at chats and people were able to kind of like get out of their hive-mindedness and hate for Condola in particular and Lawrence and just kind of look at it like, oh, like both perspectives. That's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. And I thought that the writers, the people, like there's a lot of nuance, a lot of things that they did to humanize these characters that previously had just been like flat characters for the most part. And I just, oh goodness, yeah, there was a lot. But let me, before we go any deeper, I know Keek was here. The first question on the table was just, how did the episode move you? What did you think about episode 3?
Oh, it was really, a hard thing to watch. That you don't come with the right tools when situations like this happen. You don't know what to do. And I just saw that they both was trying the best way that they knew, but I just really, once again, this is that year later, where we didn't see any interaction between them at all. It seems like she announced she was pregnant to him, and then a year later we find out she's having a baby. So was there any communication in between that year, that they had apart? And was he there when she was pregnant and doctor's appointments? I know he was in San Francisco, but it just seems like he went absent and he only showed up when the baby was born. And so my heart went out to both of them. Because he also had a change in his life. But I mean, I think, I don't have children, so I couldn't say too much. You know what I mean? I am definitely not Condola's sister at all, even though I have several sisters, with husbands, and even my brothers, and they have baby mamas. I just look at it like, there's no one answer. All I can do is just pray for hope for these people. It's just a really, really complicated situation that hard to put the words together to say, to pinpoint what it is. It's hard, sad.
Yeah, all of the above, very, very difficult and very sad. But you spoke about this year, and to what extent was Lawrence involved? And it seemed like very little, if none at all.
He's not involved at all. When he rounded the corner and he was meeting her mama and her sister for the first time,
right?
He was ghost the entire pregnancy.
He didn't do anything.
Let's
and I think that's where she had that lack of trust, because where was the support for her throughout the pregnancy? It's like, right. Well, now you and the baby, I think that's where he was like, well, keep me posted. Right. Well, now it's like, well, we haven't even discussed how we're going to co-parent this child.
Right.
And
also what I got from this is that you have not evolved at all what was her name? Tasha, the woman at the bank.
Yeah.
It's exact mirrored behavior.
Yeah.
Mirrored behavior.
Wait, what woman at the bank? What did you say? What happened? Oh, the woman that. Oh, right. Oh, wait.
The treatment of both women is almost exactly the same.
You're right.
All right. Look, let's dissect this. Okay, so Condola. Oh, so many things. Okay, Condola, when she said that she wanted to, she said that she was willing to raise a kid on her own or something to that extent.
Yeah, I mean, when she said she was pregnant, she made it clear she was going to keep the baby, and if Lawrence was involved, great. If he didn't want to be involved, great.
Okay,
but she was marching forward.
Right. Okay. There's that thing. Like, that's a big thing. Okay. And so Lawrence, I don't know what kind of limbo. I don't know. The pregnancy didn't. I don't know. Like, I somehow want to give him credit, but I don't know that he deserves it. But I want to get to the moment. There was the moment when he came into the room. I feel like I might just have to represent for all men everywhere on the planet, but I'll take that. I'll take that on, because that look that the mother, the sister, and Condola gave him, like, what you doing here? That was painful for me. That was very cringe-inducing for me. I was like, okay, granted, I guess he wasn't there for any other sonograms, any other things. He was not there. But did they not know that he was, who called him? Condola had to call him, right? They had to know that he was on the way.
Yeah.
And so they have to know that that is his child, right? And for them just to look just like, and that was Sunshine from Harlem Nights. I don't know if y'all seen Harlem Nights, but that was she will always be sunshine for me. But I digress. Back to the, I was like, oh man, like, they really off the rip. This is his son. This is his black boy, and it's the mother. All these women around, and the man come in, and they just like, I didn't like that.
Well, see, here's the thing. Somebody brought up that Chad had said everybody has a plan until they get punched. Mm-hmm. And I actually think that applied to both characters, because I think Condola didn't realize how lonely it would be to go through her whole pregnancy without having her partner there with her. And then she had the baby, and, she had her mother and her sister there, but they had never even met Lawrence before, mm-hmm. So they were like, yeah, they are like, why are you here? I mean, you weren't here before, so why are you here now? And
that's his son. That's his.
But I mean, he didn't just show up. I mean, he didn't just fall from the sky. I mean, he'd been baking for 9 months, right? I mean,
I think that was what that look is. Where were you this whole night up until this day?
Do they not know with their daughter, do they not know what she said? You don't have to be here if you don't want. Do they not know? Did she not say that part?
It's almost like, again, though, nobody really knows what it's like until they go through it. And then, so even her saying that wouldn't really, I mean, I guess their feeling would be you're either out or you're in, right? And if you're in, you should be all the way in the sense, not in the sense of them being a couple, but in the sense of you agreeing to co-parent. Right now, Lawrence is kind of involved, but kind of not. I mean, he really is like an uncle. And I think that's something that they should have talked about before the baby was born.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about the name?
Oh my God.
Hold on. Carrie wants to talk about the name. Before we talk about the name, let me get into the chat, man, because they're sounding off. T Frost says Condola's situation is exactly why she probably shouldn't have had the baby and her jump off. And Niger Girl 9 says the fact that he found out about the birth via text is telling. Lawrence and Condola were not even on speaking terms it seems. And T. Frost says, well, so that's why I mentioned that Condola was also in the wrong. Clearly, she wasn't communicating pregnancy or otherwise. Okay, for sure. Appreciate the people in the chat. Keep that active. Like this, like this, like this. Tell everyone that you know that we are going live right now and bring them. Okay, Carrie, what did you think about the name? Mustafa, Elijah?
Yeah.
What did you think about the name?
Yeah. No, I just back to what you were saying, what a few of you said, it's once again, it's indicative of where they were at in the relationship, because he was not only surprised that she had the baby via text, but he's, shocked by the name, so there was no conversation, no discussion about, is it Mustafa?
Elijah,
From the Lion King, right?
No, that's Mustafa,
Mustafa.
right? It's a T in there. It's Elijah Mustafa
It's
Walker.
Mustafa.
Elijah Mustafa Walker is the baby's name. Yeah.
Okay, because she said not Lion King, right?
Oh, the partner, the homie was making jokes. He was.
Okay.
That was making Lion King jokes.
Oh, okay.
So
Mustafa is a Muslim name. That's my stepfather's name.
Mhm.
So
okay.
I'm very familiar with it, but it doesn't quite go with Elijah. It's kind of
okay.
I don't know for them. I can see why he was kind of like, wait, Mustafa,
Yeah.
But I think everybody gets an awkward middle name. You know what I mean? Like, or an awkward first name, and then you be called by your middle name, right? Or it just, But once again, this shows that they had no communication while she was pregnant, and I think that is really what was detrimental to everything. That all of that could have been discussed. It seems like they were just communicating via text. On the progress where she's at. And she just was kind enough to say, okay, I'm going into labor today, and then by the time, but I do kind of, like Olivia was saying, is you're either going to be all in or all out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what, I don't also think that, Condola really set that expectation from the beginning, like, what she meant by if you are, you're not going to be around, because those are the things she could have said. Well, if we're going to do this as a joint venture, let's talk about the name. Let's talk about, how often how you going to, even if he went away, how often are you going to come back? And just really bad communication on both their parts, I think.
Yeah, I disagree with that notion. It's like it's an 18-year journey, right? And he doesn't really know her. So you're either going to be all in or you're going to be all out. It's like, well, I'm never going to be all out because half of that baby is me. Like there's no all out. Like either way you flip it, like the child needs the father, like essential, right? And so I'm assuming Lawrence has a lot to get together. And let's talk about Lawrence. Let's talk about Lawrence, because you said, Olivia said before, it was a very interesting case study. So let's talk about Lawrence first, then we'll get to Condola. Let's break it down like that. So I was wondering, what did people think about? Did people's ideas of Lawrence in this case study, did people's perception of Lawrence change from the beginning of this episode to the end of this episode? What do people think about the Lawrence part and what he brought to this episode, what he's bringing to this dynamic? Just Lawrence, go for it.
I'll say this. Mm-hmm. He's still bringing the bare minimum. It's just like, yes, you are the child's father, but that also requires effort. It doesn't require the bare minimum effort when you feel like doing it, and then get the maximum return on your minimal effort. And you have not learned that for it looks like 4 seasons and 3 episodes of this show.
Yeah.
Put in maximum effort. Mm-hmm. Co-parenting and being her boyfriend or spouse are 2 very different things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, you wanted to be with Issa and all that, and like this pregnancy came out of nowhere and you didn't want to, but it wasn't your decision. I get that. That is frustrating. I can admit that. That's fine. But the maturity is like, where do you go with that? It's like, as soon as the baby's born, it's like you want equal parts of it, but you had no interest in the journey of getting there. And like, did you even establish a will? Did you do?
Yeah.
But any effort in this, but you want all the daddy benefits and put in no effort of being a father. Daddy stuff is fun. Father stuff is hard. And it's like, you don't want to do the hard and you don't want to be accountable for it. Like when she does something and you are a victim of it, I mean, you first in line on that one. Okay, you have all the effort to cry victim when something happened to you that was out of pocket. And it did happen, and it's like, I can acknowledge that. However, you're putting in minimal effort. And like anything that did happen to you, the split screen told the truth on you only. The split screen told the truth on you.
Yeah.
The split screen. The split screen was, your split screen was a lot. Real quick, I know a lot of people have other things to say about Lawrence, but you brought up the split screen, and there was a scene when the girl that he was with, she was screaming and she was orgasming, and I guess I'm assuming she's orgasming. Maybe she's faking. I don't know. But anyway, she's screaming. And so Condola like jumped. I was like, are they in the next room? I was like, what is happening? But I was like, he is savage. But it was something else going on with her. But anyway, the split screen was deep. Okay, well, Olivia, looks like you want to say something about the character study of Lawrence. Lawrence's half. What's up, Olivia? What do you have to say? Did your attitude towards Lawrence change from the beginning of the episode to the end of the episode? In what way?
My attitude didn't change, but I forget who said it. I'm so sorry, but that his behavior with Condola is the exact same as it was with Tasha from the bank, and that is so true. I agree. He was putting in minimum effort, and I think to me, they were very much saying that he really resents not only Condola, but the baby for basically destroying any chance of he and Issa getting back together. Because not only is he moving to another city where they be long distance, but he's got a whole baby that he's got to deal with. So I don't think he has really dealt with that resentment. And instead of facing up to it and kind of, working it through, he just kind of let it fester. Maybe at the end of the episode when he called her and he's like, okay, what are we going to do? Maybe that was a sign that he's, realizing that he's got to do things differently. Because I thought it was interesting that both Chad and Derek, they both gave him advice that if you put it together was pretty much perfect for Chad was basically said, everybody has a plan till they get punched. You need to punch back. And Derek was like, you two need to be on the same side. And really they're both kind of telling him the same thing. He has to figure out what it is that he wants, and he has to approach Condola with it. But they have to do it in a collaborative way. Because this isn't about Condola, but on her side, if the father's coming in for visitation, you can't just say, well, I don't want to give you the child because I don't trust you. You may not trust him, but once you get into a custody situation, it doesn't work like that. So he really has to kind of figure out what he wants and in a decisive way. So I'm gonna stop Kamala, I think you and I are very much on the same page. Okay. And how we view Lawrence.
Okay, for sure. Real quick. They let me have it in the chat.
Okay.
They say
I want to go next. I want to go after you go to the chat.
For sure. It's I don't see Lawrence as a victim. It takes two to tango. That's Niger Girl 9. And then Jamie says, Roger, please pass this along to all the brothers you can. If you have a baby on the way, don't be trying to date other women. and Nice Girl 9 says, Lawrence needs better coping methods. Shout out to the chat. Appreciate you guys. All right, go right ahead.
Yeah, so Tamala really hit the nail on the head. For me, Lawrence was just basic as usual, and he was just doing the bare minimum. And then it was so funny how the pendulum swung when it came to the split screen. Mm-hmm. And I always listen to or have my Shazam going for the soundtrack for Insecure, because it's always on point.
Always on point.
Yes. Yeah. And so
that's Raphael Sadiq, by the way. That's Oakland's own Raphael Sadiq doing that.
Yes. Well, he was right on point, and it was so funny because I'm gonna try not to cuss here, but they one of the songs I love, which was On My Ish by with Joey Badass. It was playing in the background as Lawrence was putting the crib together, and they really focused a lot on that crib. Mm-hmm. And it was almost symbolic of him believing that if I put the crib together, I'm being a good father in a way, and this is, I'm on my SHIT by doing this. And then by the time you get to the end, I felt like it was like a slap in the face to him that, okay, you feel like you're putting in all this effort and it's still not enough, which us looking from the outside, we're going, well, yeah, this isn't really sustainable. But in his mind, he thought he was on it, and so it was just so funny to see that by the end, you finally get to the point where the pendulum kind of met in the middle, and it was like, okay, we got to come up with something. I don't want to predict what the next few episodes going to be, but just based on the end and where Lawrence was at, he may not be basic after this episode. We're going to see though.
That conversation was powerful. I mean, just the call I thought was powerful. What's up, Kikwa?
Oh man. So my perception of Lawrence is he's a very self-centered person. And he, from day one, he didn't look to see where Issa was at in the relationship. It was all about what he was thinking for himself. And I think this season, they really showed you how self-centered Lawrence can be. Meaning that it's all about Lawrence. Even in his final argument, you blew up my life. You're half of this responsibility too. I do think that he tries to, I'm a good guy, but his lack of immaturity, it counters all of that. You're an adult also. Condola's a good person. We all have good traits. That doesn't mean that you're the perfect one. And so I was more surprised too to see Lawrence even attempt with a level of confidence, because I've always seen him as insecure. So the way that he was really, challenging Condola, like really trying to take the lead and do all that, even though it's messy, he has no idea what he's doing. He's just trying to figure it out as he's go. But to me, it was like watching a little boy, try to become a man overnight. With having a baby. So now you go buy a crib, because I've seen that before. I don't really think Lawrence is still at that level of maturity, even though I got a job in San Francisco and all this stuff. I just see him still almost at a teenager mindset, like this happened, now what I do. Lawrence got 2 loving parents. He's not talking to his parents about it. I mean, they are at this point in their 30s. They're done with college. They're grown. And for him to sit and think that life is going to be so perfect, because now you got a baby and I got a job in San Francisco, it just really showed me how self-centered and immature that Lawrence is. But I was very surprised if they gave him a little bit of confidence this year, but at least trying, Can
we pull over and have a sidebar on Lawrence's parents?
Yo, okay, before that's okay, let me sidebar, because I was thinking about that it was interesting that his parents are still together. I don't know if maybe his mother got married 2 years. I don't know, but it seems to be like both his birth parents and they're still married, because that would indicate to me that his father is still in his life. So he should know what it takes to be a father. It appears to me that he has like daddy issues. He doesn't know, he doesn't have any idea as to what it takes to be a father. That's what I read into it. And so when I see both his parents show up together, to me, that was weird to me. Like, so you've had your father like your whole life. And I don't know, maybe some kind of backstory there. His father is sometime, I don't know, but that part kind of, I don't know, that puzzled me, because I don't know, that didn't fit in for me. No, what
He does have a relationship with his dad. Him and his dad met at the airport for coffee in one of the seasons. And also that car, that Jaguar he's driving, is his daddy's car.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
Why is he not trying to pattern the father's behavior? He has a good rapport, he has a good relationship with his father from what we know. Why does he seem so clueless, like absolutely oblivious as far as, what it would,
you have to be mature.
It seems like he's learning everything like now. It's like, bro, haven't you seen this every single day of your life growing up? That, I don't know, that kind of threw me. But
it requires him to be mature and be accountable.
Exactly.
He's driving his daddy's Jaguar.
Uh-huh.
He was on the couch for 2 years developing woo woo.
Yep. I agree. I'm with you. That's why I'm like, this is just a little boy who's still, trying to figure it out. Issa was his everything, though. I think she was really there to try to help him get to that point of immature. And so, he was forced to really get out and grow up, but Issa's not the one to fix his problems. Even Issa was like, I'm going in a different direction and you're here. And it's just, yeah, he's got a lot of growing up to do.
Shout out to her for knowing when to get out.
Yes.
We have so many, that person didn't get out at the right time.
When you say shout out to her, do you mean which one? Issa. Okay.
Her decision to not continue the relationship through this baby thingy, she just is too much. For now. We know now.
I think the Issa, I think that's dead in the water. More on that later. I want to talk about the Condola side, but before I do, in the chat, Jamie says she sees him getting it together and moving back to LA. The last argument, T. Frost says that last argument, he really tried it. Let's be honest, that baby is never going to sleep in that crib in San Francisco. Niger Girl 9 says, is Lawrence an only child? Aha.
He is.
Good.
Yeah, the other season she did mention that. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But the more I think about Lawrence's full name is kind of a joke because he's Martin Lawrence Walker, right? He's Martin Lawrence.
Is that right?
Devil got the jokes.
I did not know that. But Niger Girl 9 goes on to say he's used to being catered to and taken care of. Ha ha. All right, we put Lawrence's, the character study is done. Okay, we got Lawrence's side. Okay, about Condola.
Can we pull over with the parents though? Because his parents had really great lines.
Okay. About the baptism, his forehead to save. What about rest of his body? They had that one.
Oh,
and, what else did you like?
A full dip for me. That she needed a full dip.
Right. Shout out to the Baptist in the building.
Oh my God. It'd be the shadiest things at Christie's, I tell you that.
For sure. Okay. Can we flip it to Condola? I know Condola was maybe the most hated going into this episode. Did people's attitudes and opinions of Condola change from the beginning of the episode to the end of the episode? If so, how? While you all are thinking, while you lovely ladies are thinking, hey, I just want to say the decision. Okay, so in real life, the actress, I can't remember her name right now. Help me out. I can't remember her name.
Christina
Elmwood or something like that.
Elmore.
Elmore. she had really had a baby. And I thought it added so much depth to show her, and she hadn't lost all of her baby weight. And she looked like she had just given birth. And I don't mean that disrespectfully at all, but we have this thing in celebrity culture where there's this competition of, a celebrity just had twins and now she's back in 5 weeks, she's got a 6-pack and she's on the cover of we see all that, but to see her and to see that realness of her looking like she had just given birth, I thought added so much to her character and the show, and how I perceived her. I really like that touch. Like, I like that. I'm sure they didn't plan it that way. I mean, whatever, it all came together, but I really like to see that. Okay. So about her character, and what way did her character change? How did her character change in this episode for you all?
I'm gonna start it off. So I have not ever, I have not been a Condola fan, but it was so real, just to see how scared she was. It really resonated, like, on the screen, how like fearful she was of getting it wrong. I couldn't imagine doing that with someone who was completely, not there my entire pregnancy. She seems, as if I agree with Olivia, someone who, has these kind of preconceived ideas about motherhood, and maybe this is just me projecting onto her, but onto her character, that, it would go a certain way and it's not. That really came out to me on the screen. And then, wanting help, being tired, but not wanting help. And so just seeing her character and her role, for me, really was really, I won't say I like her now, but I will say that she's definitely a great actress. I just saw an article that she did the other day where, she talked about, people in real life, like, rolling their eyes at her and having things to say about her character on Insecure, which is a sign she's doing a great job. But I mean, I won't say I'm a Condola fan, but I definitely, at the end of this, had a little bit of a warmer heart towards her, just with, and the folks who were talking to me, it just, prepping me to watch the episode, was saying, like, oh, she's really touchy, and, she knew what she signed up for and things like that. But me as a parent watching it, and a mother, I really felt her, even in the times that, she was raising her voice and being a little bit belligerent. I've had those moments. So I definitely enjoyed her a little bit more this episode. She understood the assignment, that pretty much. That's it for me.
Okay. Anyone else? Did your attitude towards Condola change?
I had more empathy for the situation.
You said what? I
had more empathy for her in the situation.
Okay.
I do believe her, even though, like, she would come back and pay for these words when she said you can be involved as little as much. Because what we had seen of her, like, the last dragon in the graveyard, like, that's a side hustle because she's in PR firm with Tiffany, right? So, I bet she's someone in her mind thought she would make her own baby food, and the baby would be on the schedule, and, like, it'd be sleeping, like, at night in week 9. Like, she knew, she read all the books, something else that Lawrence probably didn't do. And, like, she did all the things. Like, you see a lot of preparation. You see a lot of intent. She has a good support system, particularly with her sister. I love that's how Keke Palmer showed up as her sister. And the reality is that it's just incredibly difficult. It's like, it's the hardest thing in the world to do. That's why I'm a happy aunt of 4. It's just like, I'm less Keke Palmer, more Olivia Pope. It's just like, let's ruin their lives, but leave no paper trail.
Yeah.
So, I'm never a Condola fan. I'm the person that laughs and people call her convection oven and everything else. I think that's hilarious. But I do appreciate that, you had a plan, you thought you got this, and it's like the hardest thing in the world, and you need help. And like, he may have been your jump off, but maybe you caught feelings, maybe because he's the father of your child. Maybe you see more in him. I don't know. At least you want him to want to be a family unit with you. And I have empathy for that. And rather than dealing with your vulnerability, you leverage the power and control that you do have, being the primary parent. So it's very human what she's doing. I don't necessarily agree with how she's leveraging power over him. But if you refuse to admit your vulnerability, then all you have is anger and aggression, to communicate your frustration.
Yeah. And I try to empathize with Condola. I really do. I mean, I don't have children either, but I'm also a happy aunt. But I mean, I just can't get over. I mean, she and Lawrence were they never communicated well to begin with. She never was really that into him. She doesn't trust him. I mean, I don't think she even likes him that much. I mean, it's just sort of like, you had a baby with a man you don't love, you don't communicate well with, you don't trust. I mean, and I'm not saying that she shouldn't have kept the baby. I mean, and they did say in that episode with her pregnancy, they did say that they'd been careful, and obviously babies come when they come. But I'm almost like, maybe it would have been better for her to just have the baby and not even tell Lawrence about it.
Whoa. No, why? What? Hold up. Why would that have been better?
Because he's resentful. He's kind of half in, half out. But
there's no coming back from that one.
But I'm not saying, I mean, then that sets up a whole other situation, because at a certain point the child is going to want to know who their father is, and then Lawrence would have some 14-year-old showing up at that doorstep saying, "Hey, Dad." So that's probably not. But I don't know. I just get so frustrated with her. So that's probably just coming out of my own frustration. I don't understand how well, I understand how she got to this place, but I just wish, for her own sake, that she would focus more on the realities of her situation rather than her own frustrations. Because the thing is, going back to what Tamala's saying and her trying to exert power, if they go to court and then there's a formal custody order in place, I mean, the courts are going to say, okay, Lawrence has the baby every weekend. He can come down to LA. He can show up as long as he shows up by XYZ time. He can take the baby to this place, and you can't do anything about it. So this power that she thinks she has really...
That's not how it happens. Not in California. like Lawrence is gonna get worked. He wants to keep it he wants to keep it out of the court, period. Because not only he might see the judge might rule, he could see the baby once every 2 weeks or whatever, but he gonna have to cough up the dough. The child.
Well, that's actually another thing that I was wondering about. Is he contributing financially?
I don't know. Hey, you know what? Y'all was dissing that crib though. Y'all didn't like the lights. I thought that was dope. Y'all didn't...
I see it. Bring it home with the crib. Bring it home.
That's my little boy stuff. You rising over a Galaxy. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? When a baby needs milk. Like, come on now. Like, this is beautiful. It's great. I love it. I'm into science too. But you over here romanticizing something that you ain't really you ain't completely in. You don't really see the truth about having a child.
Right. No, he
And
does.
that's why I'm like, you just can't come by with Christmas presents and think you've been 100% dad. But it was beautiful. I'm not gonna knock it. It was nice.
There you go. There you go. Give him something. But I think he's, oh my goodness, he's learning, I suppose. He's learning on a job, but he's lived his life oblivious for so long. We don't know about him having any younger siblings. Naija Girl 9 pointed out in the chat, he could be an only sibling. He hasn't looked out for people. He doesn't have any like little homies he's looking out for. I'm just saying, like, that's a big thing. He's been living for himself for so long. Men don't get pregnant. You don't feel the pains. You don't miss your period. You don't feel the baby kicking. You don't feel none of that. It's not real until this actual thing is there. And then when he saw this baby, little Mustafa, I felt like he wanted to cry. Like he was like, oh.
I'm going to disagree with you, Roger.
I think
as the baby's growing, you can be a part of it.
As the baby is, oh no, he can't. No. He could have. He could have made the trips. He could have done more. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying as for a woman, it's inescapable. Like your body is freaking changing like every single month. It's your nipples are dripping. Like it's all types of things. Everything's changing for you. There is a being growing inside of you. It's real. It's visceral.
Women don't have an opt-out.
Huh?
Yeah.
Women don't have an opt-out.
Well, there's abortion.
No, I meant in terms of being in the whole parenting part.
Yeah.
Like unless you're adopting or surrogacy, like women don't have an opt-out. Men can opt out and then opt in, and then opt out, and then opt back in.
But as far as the understanding how real it is, like, bruh, like this is forever, bro. Like this is forever. And I think part of him like living it up, drinking it up, toasting it up, going on a date with the one girl, like, oh shit, my baby's here. And I'm sorry. that situation in the beginning, and hooking up with a completely different girl later on in the split screen situation. I think that he is really trying to escape the reality, but he will realize that there's no escaping. Even if you run, there's no escape. You will always be a father until you die. And that's not an instantaneous thing. And I think he's struggling with that. I don't think he's a bad person. I just think he's oblivious and he's trying to hold on to his childhood and the party years and all that type of stuff. Bro, it's over. I think that's going to take a while for Lauren. With Condola, on the other hand, I think, okay, let's get into the solid food incident, right? The party.
So
right?
before you go there, I just want to say something and just piggyback on Olivia though. Mm-hmm. As someone who has worked with the court system, mm-hmm. I'll tell you the way in which Condola is fearful of him having that baby for a night. Mm-hmm. It would actually be in Lawrence's best interest at this point. I mean, but then we'd have to actually be planning something. But you know, going to court isn't always a bad thing for a father, especially when you have not figured out, communicated a plan.
Hold on. It would be in his best interest to what? Finish that thought.
To actually communicate with Condola and establish a custody agreement. Yeah. Because if you wait for the court to do it or for it to be this tension to go to the court, that's when you have the issue of paying out the nose and not being able to see your child.
Listen, man, you gonna depend on the court to keep a Black family together? No, bro, you need.
I mean, at this point, could you really call them a family though? They can't even talk about a name.
This is true. They're an entity trying to raise a kid. I don't know with the name. You kind of two people trying to. I don't know what the name is, but whatever they are.
Well, I did want. Can I just, before we move to the food choice, can I just say how I feel about Condola really quick?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I kind of see what Olivia meant. My perception at the beginning, I did miss the sweet Condola, the professional. I had so much admiration for her in the level that she had brought Issa. And I just thought the way that she was able to deal with relationships was positive, And then I will never forget when they had the mixer at Issa's apartment, and Condola made the choice to go and show up at Lawrence's door. And I was like, okay, now it's out there, but I felt like it was kind of like her karma. My sister was like, Condola going for her just because she's got this positive working relationship doesn't mean that she could, she got to stop dating the dude because Issa was already cool with it. Well, I saw that was a bad decision from the beginning. And look what happened. She ended up getting pregnant. But she still was cordial. But I saw the shadiness when she showed up at Issa's event, and I thought she had checked out from Lawrence and she was done. And I kind of agree with Olivia that what I got from Condola is, not that she should have had the baby and not have told him, but I think what she really meant was, I really don't want you to be involved because I want no parts of you anymore. And she was still trying to give him the option. So I see a lot of similarities. She tries to come off as the nice person, but her emotions and all that show a lot different. So I think she's been trying to be nice, but the baby's here. But I honestly don't think in her heart she really wants Lawrence around. I think she just really wanted to have this baby and move on. But Lawrence is like, I'm not that dude. You got the wrong dude. I got to be there. I got my parents to answer to. I got my friends to answer to. So, and I think she knew that, but she was just hoping that he would just go on about his life being in San Francisco and don't bother her no more. And now he's here and she's irritable and she got to be vulnerable. She's tired. My whole look on Condola is that she too did not think this entirely through.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, that because I was seeing it as that she was hoping he would step up, but I like that. That's a good way of looking at it, that maybe she was hoping that he would just go away, and what's irritating her is that he's sticking around.
Right.
He left him around.
You know what? Because she does keep saying, every time he comes up with this idea of being a parent or taking on some type of parental role, she goes, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Let's talk about it. And then they never talk about it.
Yeah. That's her professional hat. Let's put that,
Yeah.
let's have a sidebar on that. We'll talk about that in the next meeting.
Put that in the parking lot.
Does that cause people to judge her harshly? The notion that she just like, I just want to have the baby. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Leave me alone. I just want this baby.
I feel that.
She don't know what she wants. She doesn't know what she wants. So
I think she deserves all the smoke. If that is her MO, just give me the baby and get away from me. That is troubling.
Yeah, I think she was looking for that moment to say this isn't working, and she just exploded. I think that had already been going through her head. Even with this, everything he tried, she was combative over. And it's like she was in, but she's like, I'm meeting you halfway. Let's go to this event together. But that's just all a facade. I don't think that's what's truly on her heart.
I wonder what they're going to circle back to.
Real trippy. That text exchange when she was just like, yo, we should go to the party. And he was like, you mean with Ja, right? He was like, and she was like, yeah. She's like, okay, well then okay. And so it seemed as though he was just like, hold on, you trying to us like me and you? Hell no. Like, was she trying to like, Lawrence felt like maybe she was trying to get back with him and he like kind of shut that down with the baby, right? I thought that was,
I think it's just all about this image. Because she asked him, should we go together? And he's like, what? And it's all about image. On the outside, it looks all beautiful. But in the inside, she didn't really want to be there with Lawrence.
But hold on. But from his text, he was like, he said, we should go together. And she said, we should go together. He says, with Ja, right? Or with the baby, right? With Ja, right? And then she's like, yes. And then he says, well, okay then. So either he felt like maybe she was trying to like get at him like, yo, as a couple, like me and you, we should hang out. I don't know. That's what
Yeah.
I think he was 1,000% right. She wanted the image.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Lauren still thinks like this is about him.
Mhm.
This ain't about you. It's about the image.
Okay.
You know, we are getting along. You know, we have the baby and it's all gonna be great.
Uh-huh.
But the moment he go give the baby something else to eat, some cake, she like, wait a minute.
Talk about it, Kikwa. You think she got a pocket? Do you think what did you take away from that situation? A solid food gate. What did you take away from that?
Now, as an aunt, I have boundaries with that too. Before I can give my niece, nephew, anything, water, anything, I need to run it by their parents. And so since she's the primary caregiver that's actually feeding him daily and doing all that, he should have ran it by her first.
Okay. All right.
She is the primary caregiver in this situation.
Okay.
He just visits on the weekends.
Okay. Anyone else on that first blow up?
Now, not to get back into the legal aspect of this, but once again, I mean, this is who you chose to have a baby with. So, you know, and he talked about, you know, Tamala, he did say he read a book, you know, and after 12 months, you know, you can start introducing solids. But you know, on the flip side, you know, I know that especially a first-time mother, you know, or a first-time parent, that's kind of special. Like, oh, we introducing solids, you know, what's going to be the first thing? You know, I know with my kids, I thought a lot about what would be their first food. So, you know, on that one, I probably would have let it go. Just especially in the middle of the party and all that. Mm-hmm. She got enough stress. I'm just surprised that, but you know, maybe it was a blow up from all the things accumulated and her stress and being tired and all of that. But I don't know if the juice was worth the squeeze with that fight, but I got both sides of it.
Okay. That's important that you got both sides. That's important. Yeah, she I think that he should know your co-parent. I don't know what their title is, one another. I'm trying to not use know the mother of your son, know who you're working with, right? So we know, as people who watch the show, we know that Condola's very A-type, right? Look at why is the baby losing weight? She wants things to be, she's very organized. She wants things to be a certain way. And I feel like he spent enough time with her to know that would have created some kind of backlash.
She and Tiffany are work friends.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
All, right?
And thank you for whomever brought that up. Yeah.
I understand you want to have a moment, you want to feel empowered, you want to have a flex, but solid foods is not a flex. Like, first of all, could have blown up like a little balloon. Do you have an EpiPen on you? Like, right. Do you know how that works? Did you take baby CPR? Right. The other part is just like, I understand being in the moment and being excited, and you don't spend as much time with him. So I don't think he's intentionally trying to hurt her feelings. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if you're co-parenting, it's like, that's when if you see it, text or bring it in, film the moment, you know, then it becomes something different. And it's not about y'all couples, just like, we're doing all these first together, and then perhaps that can start a trend. Another thing about that blow up being about something else, remember he was on the call with the firm with the smart gear, which sounds weird, but whatever. And then the thing about office space, and then he realized he missed his flight. They're a flight. I live in DC. I know they're a flight from San Francisco to LA every hour. Get the next flight.
Yeah.
I do get
the next flight. Just be like, look, I missed my flight. I'm jumping on the 11. I'll be out there at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
She still gets her massage.
You're right. I'm in San Francisco area, and there's one every hour, and if not with that airline, with another airline.
Yeah.
Lord gets no love.
Yeah.
I'm mad at both of them. I really am. This is definitely.
I think that he was probably. Well, I think he's still upset about the name situation. And now she's like, yeah, I'm gonna give her back. You know what I mean? Like, and like, probably he's not even conscious of the way that he's thinking, but he's just like, yeah, you know, I'm a man. He got his uncle putting a battery in his back, and his dad and his parents are all there. Yeah, you know what I mean? And so I see why he did it, but once again, yeah, just know who you're working with, bro.
Can we also focus on Derek's advice?
What was Derek's advice?
Because he was like, she out here tripping. She won't let me do anything. She's mad about everything she yells at me. And Derek was like, and?
Yeah. Right.
You trying to be a dad or not?
Right.
Derek is the one who's consistently given Lawrence the real advice. I mean, he was the one who told him, look, you shouldn't be surprised that Issa cheated on you. You were sitting on the couch for 3 years. I mean, come on.
That is never something that a man would tell another man in that situation, ever.
Remember, Derek started out as Issa's friend, not Lawrence's.
There you go.
So you didn't think that was a realistic conversation?
What'd you say?
You didn't think that was a realistic conversation then?
Not between two dudes. Hell no. You my dog. Well, you know, she cheated on you because, like, what? Man, get away. I'm not trying to hear that right now. Even if it was sound advice. I was like, what kind of, no, bro. We don't get down like that. My girl cheated on me, bro. I need you to diss her right now. Like, go ahead, Kikwa.
You need a friend. I tell my brothers this all the time. You need one of your boys to tell you the truth. You slacking, man. You need to get up off your feet and get a job. It takes time, but the older you get, those friends who are not telling you the truth are watching you fail.
I heard that.
You know what I mean? And I look at Derek as an adult. He was there throughout Tiffany's whole postpartum. Mm-hmm. Derek was doing the work. Mm-hmm. Right. He was going through depression.
But they're married.
Just because you're married doesn't mean that you're not mature. And you still have to be ready for a marriage, right? That takes maturity as well. Okay. And I see Derek as the man that, you know, he's done things, well, they had their issues, but Tiffany don't talk about them that much. You know what I mean? But I see that level of maturity in Derek, you know what I'm saying, to where he's taking on all of this, you know, in a mature way. And that's why he's just like, choose your battles. You know, this is what adult life looks like. And I think that's the real thing that Derek brings to him. You know what I'm saying? And then he's got Chad, who's like, you know, this is what the pimp life looked like, homie. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, he's got the angel and the devil on the side.
It's like Tommy and Cole as well.
Right.
Let's go back to the analogy.
Chad talks that money trash until he tries to get his fiance back.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Chad's advice was completely wrong in the sense that he was telling Lawrence that he had to stop being so passive. It was just the way he was going about it was wrong.
Right. Well, I want to go to the chat real quick. Jamie says, I don't think it's about image for Condola. I think deep down inside, she wants Lawrence to want her. Very, very, very interesting. And then Najdo9 says, I think Condola wanted to do this parenting thing by herself, and now she's realized she actually needs help, but her pride won't let her admit this to Lawrence. Wow. Well. Thank you all in the chat. Go ahead and like this, and subscribe to the tribe if you have not done so already. So back to you all on the call. They had a second blow up. I'm assuming that people took Condola's side in that exchange as well, when he said, you blew my life up. And she was just like, give him to me, give me my baby. I'm paraphrasing, but basically she's like, give me my baby. And I want to know what you all think about that. But I just can fatherhood comes from the masculine place. Right? And I could so see him. Him just like coming in there like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I came in here, man, give me my baby. And it's his son on top of that. And he's bringing all that energy. And he just like, she's asking about the car seat and all this stuff. Everything's good. I got the rental, blah, blah, you know what I'm saying? Leave me alone. Just give me my baby. Give me my baby. And she's just like, give him back. It's just, I think he unraveled in that moment. And just that look. Oh, this episode is so many like little subtle things that, so the look, if you guys go back and watch this episode again, he gave her a look before he left after, I'm gonna be in his life regardless, right? And he just looks at it. I was like, oh, he gets stripes. That looked malicious. I was like, oh, you really mad? Like, you really been here before. But I think that is where Lawrence was coming from. But that energy that probably and all that confidence that got him his promotion and got him good at this firm and all that, it's not working in this situation. And that's all he knows. And he's got to go back to his reserve. He's got to regroup. I think he regrouped with the call and flight and all that. But like in that moment, I really empathize with Lawrence in that moment, right? This is the most precious thing to me. I took this flight and I'm trying to learn, blah, blah, blah. And he kept saying this thing about most niggas don't even want to be da da da, which I was just like,
Statistically, that's not true.
Well, why is your bar so low if you have what, going back to him having a father, allegedly, we think. Why is your bar so low? Is like just being there and like you have a great relationship with your father. That part just, once again, that didn't fit into me. But before I open up the stage to all you lovely women, I see Carrie chomping at the bit. But before I do that, I just wanted to say that I definitely empathize with Lawrence in that moment. All right, go for it. What up, Carrie? What up?
No, man, I totally agree. Like, man, you so basic. Like, yeah, it was sad to hear because he really thought, I mean, I didn't really go when he was saying that, and I was thinking about the episode afterwards. I didn't really put into perspective that his father was there. I really took it as like a social impact of why he had that belief. So what he's seeing around him, the things that he's processed into his mind, particularly to LA, where some of those stereotypes, depending on where you live, I think they're in like kind of the Leimert Park area from just based on, where they live, kind of mid-city. So what he's processing in his mind of what he see in his neighborhood and also online, and just some of these stereotypes that may not necessarily be true. Tamala, you'll probably educate us a little bit more on that. But yeah, it was just sad to hear because I could see where he would believe that, considering that she told him, you can be here if you want to. If not, that's okay. So it's almost like he believes that whatever he does for his child and what he believes is for Condola, is almost like a favor, like he's doing them a service, like they should be grateful that he's coming to doctor's appointments and trying to come every weekend. And I don't know, it almost made me sad, but I definitely agree with a lot of what you were saying. Yeah, for sure.
It made me extremely sad. All right, but go ahead. Anyone else on this and the exchange and that?
I mean, watching it, it's like I'm a recovering NFL fan, but it's like for me, it was like watching Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers arm wrestle. Like I want them both to lose. Just feeling out in this. Right.
You were done.
All right, I'm done with you, MAGA, and I'm done with you, like MAGA, Jason, anti-vaxxer. Like, I'm done with both of y'all on this one. It's just like, Lawrence, it's just like, first of all, okay, Lawrence, with your Fox News talking points, okay, almost 75% of Black men are in their child's lives. Okay, that's just facts. What is down across all races and ethnicities is the marriage rate, but that's more about how our tax and economic structure is set up in this colonistic society. That's a topic for another time.
Okay.
Black men are actually very present in their children's lives.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean the parents like each other. That is not the statistic. What the statistic was tracking.
Right.
It was presence in relationships. That is more of a norm. And when it doesn't happen, generally, it's because of external things like the criminal justice system, et cetera. So poverty plays a part of that. However, 93% of all Black women pre-pandemic were employed. We actually were the most employed people in the United States. The hardest workers in the United States are Black women. It's statistics and in Pew Research.
Okay.
So we are not the welfare queens, et cetera, blah, 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 blah.
Where
Black
you
people
know your
actually
facts,
have good
Pamela?
enough family.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I read a lot.
Oh, okay.
Reading a podcast, but yeah, the one about I think Black women and the families, that's both Pew Research and both of them.
Cool. No, I was just wondering. I like researching things too. So
Yeah, it's just that depending on considering the Black Americans' history in this country, like we're like the biggest success story globally. It's amazing, how we continue to thrive in this foolishness. Speaking of foolishness, so with Condola, it's harder than you thought. Either you want him there or you want him to want you, or you're not getting what you want. And it's frustrating. And like you're trying to be a decent person about it. But like he's sometimey AF. Okay. Like that's your best thing. With Lawrence, it's like, I get you. Like it's just like learning what was that this baby was coming did blow up your plans. It did. Blow up your plans. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna do about it? You a grown man. I mean, you've grown enough to threaten like legal action for a baby. So, be a grown man about it. It's just like, this is harder than you thought. It took more work than I have. Just admit that you are both failing at this and you want it to be better and you're not being your best. But it was really real, and that no one wanted to admit weakness. No one wanted to admit vulnerability. No one wanted to admit that they are not going about this the right way. It's just easier to blow up at you.
Okay, for sure. Anyone else on that
Yeah.
that final blow up? Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, it was really hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
My heart went out more to Lauren still, but one, I thought it was a stretch that he would think that he would take a newborn baby to San Francisco on a plane and be able to manage the whole weekend by himself. Mm-hmm. But I think he finally felt Condola pushing him away and not giving him an opportunity. I really felt like that is when he saw he couldn't get a win with her. And she admitted it. That's why she said, I don't trust you. It had to come to that point for him to understand. He is trying, even in the best way he can. But, I think his comment, some men don't even want to be in the baby's life, is stemmed from that. Him feeling like, she's not really giving him an inch. Mm-hmm. Anything he tries is a rejection. You know what I mean? Other than he can't even hold the baby too long. Give me the baby back. So he's like, dang, what can I do? You know what I'm saying? But my heart went out to him. You know what I'm saying? But I did think, it was it was just really bad. She didn't trust him. She should have just said that from the beginning.
And it was a night. It wasn't. I just want to point out that it was just a night he was supposed to have the baby. Yeah. Not a whole weekend. Yeah. So I was surprised with that because she was so tired. And if the baby's 4 months and you can't trust them for a night, it's just, my goodness. That's wild. So I'm interested to see where this is gonna go.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, it got real. I was just like, whoa. They took it to a different notch, a different level. Like it was talk about, sad to watch. I mean, just very difficult. Like, oh goodness gracious.
I was like her always saying, "Give me my baby," and I was like, "Now that's a low blow."
My baby, me. Woo. Yeah, that was tough. After he came through there, just you can't hold the baby, but she's dealing from emotions and he's dealing from a position of strength and masculinity, and it's my son. And it's just like, just to see that, and the fact that this just resonates in our society so much, like but this clashing like this, it was a lot. It was an awful lot. So yeah. Okay. So what about the future? So they made the phone call. He placed the call. I didn't quite get it until I watched the wind down after the episode, that the flight was supposed to what do you call it? Turbulence. The turbulence on a flight was supposed to remind him of his mortality and the fact that, oh my goodness, it's not just about me anymore. If I died, my son. Upon watching it, I didn't gather all that, but then I watched the post-episode discussion. I was like, oh, okay, oh, that's interesting touch. And so he placed the call, and I thought the call made the whole episode more palatable for me. Like, oh, okay, all right. And so with that, with the way that it ended, but still knowing what they've been through, and that one is in the Bay and one is in LA, what do people think about their future as co-parents of this child? Are people optimistic? People think there's no chance? What do people think about that? I see Olivia making a face.
They're both gonna have to figure out what they want and be realistic about what's achievable. And I think it's possible that they could have some sort of co-parenting arrangement, but they're not going to be, there's probably always going to be some distance between the two of them. And, that's just, it's what it is.
Okay.
I think there's hope. I think they have a chance to come to some resolve. I just think they're just going to have to get past the early stages.
Yeah.
When she gets more rest, things change for him in his job or something, he makes other decisions. I give it, time.
Okay.
I just want to say one thing for father privilege. We didn't see not one scene where he goes in there. It's just like, I'm going to need to be able to telecommute Mondays and Tuesdays.
Well, yeah.
I'm going to need to wait.
He didn't even address that at all. He just assumes well, I can't get any adjustments at work. You are a parent. You are a co-parent of someone several hours away.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't even make the attempt.
Yeah.
Well, he did. He asked, can we have the doctor's appointment scheduled on Fridays, since I can fly down on Fridays? But still, where's that? That's that self-centeredness according to my schedule. And she was like, that's the time the doctor is available. And I'm like, once again, he's not seeing the bigger picture, only just thinking of himself. And yeah, I just started this new job. It's all about Lawrence.
Yeah.
You in California, I know they got good paternity leave over there. I know they do.
We do.
And the thing is too, my understanding is that it's very common for tech workers to telecommute at least part of the time. I understand he's new. He wants to be in the office for FaceTime, but just go to the partners and say, look, my son was recently born. I'm going to have to spend more time telecommuting, but I will still be in the office for all of the big meetings. So, when we have pitch meetings, I will be here. But yeah, there's no sense that he's tried to do any of that.
We do. And I'm in the tech space as well. You do have a lot of flexibility depending on who your manager is. Sometimes they don't really care. They want you in person. And your personal life has nothing to do with really what's going on at work. It's a workaholic environment.
Yeah.
But I think Lawrence is also, this is a new job for Lawrence. He's going to do whatever it takes because it's a new job. So he's going to try to put on his face and not really let them know entirely his blown up life. You know what I mean? He's going to play this role until he figures it out, but not right now when he just started a job, because otherwise he wouldn't have even taken the job. He would have stayed, in LA and try to figure it out.
I think I thought he would stay in the Bay, and he may still stay in the Bay, but after the whole, facing death on his flight back. I think he may try to, I think he's gonna go back to LA.
He should. Most people from the Bay, I'm from LA. I stayed, but a lot of people move back to LA anyway. It's just not the same. It's two different worlds.
Yeah.
But I think he might. I agree with you, Carrie. I think he's on his
Yeah,
way.
because he at the end, it seems like he just realized that, he thought he was on his SHIT, but no, you were not. So let's see.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think he's going to sacrifice his career movement for the baby. So I think he would only move back if he could somehow continue his upward career trajectory.
Yeah, he would probably justify that by, he's supposed to provide for the child. We'll see what that looks like for him moving forward. I thought the call was, I thought that was the most responsible thing that Lawrence has ever, the most considerate thing. I thought that was the most considerate thing that Lawrence has ever done. I was like, well, that's really big and really rare when people are having baby mama drama, and to have a fallout and you go for your kid, you don't see your kid, and you gotta go take a flight, That was a huge step, for me. You know what I mean? The fact that he placed that call, and as far as making the rest of the season work, people talking about him going back to LA. So we're now, I feel like we're in that year gap. So there's a year gap between episode 1 and episode 2, right? And so I feel like we're still in that gap. So I'm thinking that Issa cried in Homeboy's mouth at the end of the last episode, right? She thought that she was ready. She wasn't. It's been a whole year. I'm thinking that something must have happened that was fresh, that she saw Lawrence and a baby in LA or something like that. And that happened right before she tried to get with Nathan. I'm thinking.
No,
that's
Lawrence,
possible.
You don't think he was at the baby shower?
Do I think who was at the baby shower, Tamala? What'd you say?
Issa and Molly. Do you think they were at the baby shower? They just didn't show them.
Aha.
The
Yeah.
baby.
No,
I'm not baby shower. I mean the baby.
I know what you're talking about.
Simone's first birthday party.
Yeah.
I don't think so. They've done stuff like that before. I don't think so. What do you guys think? You think Issa and Molly was in a different angle, different? What do you guys think?
I think it's possible. I mean, we'll find out next episode, but yeah, I think that's definitely possible. And I like your theory, Roger, that when Issa cried, it was because of something that happened very recently.
Okay. What's up?
No. Issa, when they left Stanford, he picked her up from LAX. So he was in LA.
Right.
He was in LA. So I think this is after, you know what I'm saying? This is still fresh. The baby, she tried to give it a few months. And then, because really Stanford happened right after as her whole event. So that was like recent time,
Well,
and then after that, Stanford, then it's a year later.
Right.
That gap comes from. And I think this is 9 months later of that LAX pickup from her. It's like, now this is what it's like, because he's dating another chick in San Francisco. It's a new time for him.
Oh, I feel like Lawrence is regressing. He's back on his Playboy stuff. Like, yeah. Remember when he caught that STD? I think he back on his ish. Like, oh, you getting them in and out of there, huh? I don't know, man. My goodness.
Pamela, thanks for pointing it out, because I totally forgot that Molly and Issa were not at that baby shower.
We didn't see
them. We didn't see them. They may have been there. We didn't see them.
Yeah. Okay.
I do want to say, I loved how Kelly answered that question. That is a friend for you. How is everybody? Thriving in abundance.
That was our first time meeting her cousin Tyrell, because she says Tyrell is about that.
Tyrell was in season 1.
I didn't see him.
Yeah, Tyrell was in season 1. Doing something.
Oh, y'all pay attention to all the details. I never.
Was he the one in the play?
Tiffany and Derek Having Problems, season 2, episode 1, when she revealed in a museum that he lived in a hotel for half a year.
Oh,
But they're fine now.
Right. But like Olivia said, was Tyrell the Black Jesus? Was he the one in the Jesus?
Yeah.
That was Tyrell.
Yeah. Thank you, Olivia. I'm going back to watch that right now.
Oh,
Okay, I totally forgot.
Y'all are good. Y'all are
Fans.
I haven't done any back watching, but I'm sorry. I hate to let you down. Tamara look disgusted. I'm just a fraud now. I'm sorry. All right, but real quick to the chat. I do have one more question, and Jamie's already speaking to it. She says, I think he'll move back to LA. But I hope him and Issa are done. That's real. And I love TV to show that it's not always a happy ending. And that is what I wanted to put out there last. I don't know if you guys are familiar with La La Land, the movie La La Land. Spoiler.
Where white people save jazz.
Good movie though. Yeah, that one. Good film. No, but I was thinking about that, and at the end, spoiler, but at the end they don't wind up together. And I feel like, okay. So the question is officially, do the events of this episode impact whether or not you would like to see Issa get back with Lawrence? Jamie in the chat says no. Like, it's a wrap. I don't see that happening. And I was wondering how, because I feel like people are always kind of holding out for that. I am people. But I'm wondering, what do you guys think about that? And knowing this, what up? What do you guys think?
Two quick things. Reason, season, lifetime. Some people are just a season. Lawrence was a season.
Okay. Reason 2. Am I the only person who saw Crenshaw? Was I alone in that? Was I the only one who witnessed Crenshaw?
I did, but did you?
He's a season, but he is a reason.
You think that was sexual tension? Tell me, you think that was sexual tension while they was bumping heads?
I mean, Crenshaw exists.
Yeah,
that's all we need to know.
Did you see the preview of next week? Because Crenshaw is the worst. He sent her a test, but he sent the message saying Issa's a fraud. That's all I'm gonna say. They show that in the preview for next week. But Crenshaw is not the one. I'm Team Lawrence. I'd like to see a happy ending with Black love. I feel like a lot of our love stories end up with the breakup. There is no successful relationship. It's Ike and Tina Turner. It's dramatic. It's horrible. And maybe because I'm watching this other show called Love Life, and they just talked about Black love, and they worked. They went through so much, just kind of similar to what Issa and Lawrence are going through. But if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I think her and Lawrence are each other's people. They know their language. They have the same jokes. They love each other genuinely. Life is messy, but I'm hoping that through all this, they come back together. I just feel bad for Issa. She lost her opportunity to have her first child with Lawrence. I feel like she was robbed from that. But I'm team. I like Daniel. I do. Daniel's a good dude, but he's not the dude for Issa. That's just my opinion. But I think if they do a spin, it's gonna be Daniel.
Which one is Daniel? Wait, hold on. Which one is Daniel?
That's the one that didn't have sex when she was in the other room.
Oh,
the
barber.
The barber. She just spit.
Oh, that Nathan is the barber.
The barber.
Not Daniel. I'm sorry. Yeah, not Daniel.
No, hold on. Daniel's the dude that started the drama. That Daniel was that. Okay, I was just like, okay.
That was my bad. I meant to say Nathan. I think they'll go. He's got too much screen time. Nathan is everywhere. So.
Okay.
I just don't. I think too much water has gone under the bridge for Issa and Lawrence. That's my own opinion, and I think that they would both be better off just moving forward. So
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. You know, I always think of you know, keeping things equitable. And if the shoe was on the other foot, everybody would be dragging Issa through the mud. So I am not Team Lawrence. I don't think I'm not for Black struggle love. I am for Black love. So you know, I'll take my chances with Crenshaw. I'll take my chances with I forgot his name, the one that worked at TSA that was getting her the Hennessy and the weed.
Yo, y'all keep bringing him up. Y'all keep bringing up TSA, babe. That Keek was one too. Y'all like him.
Yeah. I will take my chances.
TSA babe.
Yeah, he was checking in with her in the, you know, in the sheets. He was really checking in, man. Shout out to him.
TSA babe had a baby like right before. He's a mess. No.
I do
first, but yeah, I'd rather have TSA babe.
I do love Black love. And I do want to see Black love. But I also would love us to have the message that we don't always have to go backwards. Like there is also amazing Black love for us in the forward. So I'm cool with someone we haven't met yet. I do want her to find love, but it's just like it don't have to be Lawrence.
I just, man, oh goodness gracious! This episode changed a lot. I've been team both of them together, working it out and all that, man. And like they have all this history and they still have feelings for one another. However, and which was revealed by this cry, like, oh, she broke down, cried, and Nathan's, that was riveting for me. So I've been team them getting back together up until this point, but after this episode, like just kind of seeing the mechanics of everything that he's going to have to put up with for the rest of his life, like, and how he could definitely use someone, but he's what's his game? Oh goodness, I just don't know that. As far as where Lawrence is going personally in his private life versus where Issa is going, I think that she's holding out for something real and something special. I don't know that Lawrence has the emotional capacity to give that, and we only have 7 more episodes or whatever it is. I don't know if there's enough for him to turn that all around. So boy, oh boy, I don't, oh man, this episode added a lot. It would be so fascinating to see where they go from here. Oh my goodness. Just so you know, hey, we shall see. We shall see. Meanwhile, I want to thank everyone in the chat for chiming in. Shout out to you all. I want to remind people the best way to be in the loop is to be on the email listserv. We're going to have more online events. We're also going to have in-person events as well. You want to, so, you know, Tamala, if you're ever in the Bay, you know, holla at us, you know, you might want to fly out for something, but that is awkwardblacktribe@gmail.com. Email awkwardblacktribe@gmail.com. And I will most definitely put you on a list. I want to thank all of the lovely ladies for sharing your opinions. And that is Olivia, that is Tamala, that is Carrie, that is Kikwa. All right, everybody in the chat, subscribe to the tribe, subscribe to this, like this. And I want to thank you all so much. Riveting conversation, same time, same place. Next Friday, 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST. Thank you all so much. Peace.